Hi everyone, this is Gary following up on the Growing Food with Scraps video I did last week. Pretty excited to show you the results, but there's a couple different things that I want to touch on beforehand that I didn't include in last week's video. The first thing, well, I did include a little bit of text at the bottom about halfway through the video because it is pretty important and I forgot to mention it, realized it right after I did it. And that's misting the tops of your veggies. So you want to take a spray bottle and just mist the tops a couple times a day just to keep them moist. And what this does is this helps keep them from rotting and getting moldy. And you don't need to do much, as I said, just a spray bottle, just mist the tops of them, and it just keeps them a little moist. The second thing that I want to touch on here is nutrients. So I didn't mention anything about fertilizer last week. And for something like green onions, you don't really have to worry about it. They're smaller, but if you're looking at larger vegetables such as celery or lettuce, you might want to add some fertilizer if you want to get a bigger yield from it. If you're living alone and you're looking for a few pieces of lettuce to put on your sandwich, something like that, you're going to be alright. But if you are looking for something more substantial, there are a couple options, and I'm going to talk about just a couple different DIY types of fertilizer as well. So you can keep the hydroponic style, like the plant in the jar with some water, or you can transplant it to soil because the plants grow well in the soil because that's where they get the nutrients from. So both techniques require some type of fertilizer, and some of you no doubt heard of coffee grounds and eggshells as being great to use for helping plants grow. I've also heard about banana peels working pretty well, but I haven't personally tried using them before. For coffee grounds, something you do have to keep in mind is the acidity. So depending on the type of coffee ground, some plants don't actually like it if it's too acidic. So I do have a quick DIY for you to do for your hydroponic style, just using eggshells and water. So basically all you do is you take 5 or 6 eggshells, break them all up, put them in a container, add half a liter of water, let that sit for 5 days. And then after you let it sit for 5 days, you can start changing the water. When you're changing the water with your scraps, you can, instead of just putting the water back in for your scraps, do a half and half. So half of your eggshell mixture and then half the water from the tap. And so that just allows some nutrients to be included in the water, and it'll help your plants grow larger. And again, you can just keep doing your hydroponic style with that. If you're looking to transplant your scraps into a pot with some soil or put them outside, you can add some compost and fertilizer to help them grow better. One thing you can do if you don't have a composter, onion peel. You can use it's a real easy DIY. So basically just take a handful of onion peels, put them in a container, add a liter of water, let that sit for 24 hours. Then afterwards you can strain out the pieces of onion. I'm using a cheesecloth or a sieve. Just put the liquid into another container and then just add a quarter cup of that just once a week to your plants, or maybe half a cup, between a quarter and a half a cup depending on the size. If the plant's on the larger side, use half a cup, and that'll just help them grow as well. And if you have any DIY miracle grows that you use yourself, feel free to leave a comment because I'd love to hear them too. Alright, let's take a look at the scraps I started last week. Just a quick note though that your results will vary from mine. You might have better results, you might have worse results. Depends on the sunlight, depends on the scrap that's used. If you're using a grow light, there's so many different variables that no one's results are going to be exactly the same. So I'm going to show you them in a worst to first format in terms of how well they've grown. So we're going to start with the carrots first. So I had 2 carrot tops last week. I actually added a third one here just because, well, one wasn't growing at all. I did have some decent progress for the one. So this one here, it's all nice and green now. This was here last week when I did transplant it, but it was all yellow and it has turned to green. So it is kind of happy there. The other two, these carrots were rotting. I mean, let's not kid ourselves. They were rotting when I put them in here, so I'm kind of not surprised. But it's nice to see that at least turn nice and green to show that just putting it in water can make a difference. So next up we have the fennel, and the fennel is the one that I took right from the compost heap. And I'm not going to lie, it does kind of smell, and it did get some rot on it. So I actually had to peel away the outside because it went all soft, and I just had to peel that off. And you can see it's kind of brown there. I don't know if the fennel is going to make it. It's actually quite soft on the bottom here, but it's nice. Like, we did get some nice green leaves on the top, and if this had been put into a jar right when it was finished, as opposed to going to the compost and me digging it out, it would have turned out a lot better. So this, in the end, it's probably going to be a lost cause, but we did get some nice green leaves on the top, so there's that at least. Okay, now to the better ones. So the celery. So when I did the video last week, I chopped this up like an hour before I did the video. And you might, if you watched the video, you'll recall that I noted, so it was cut down here. So we've got this much growth in a week. And in the middle, it was actually yellow. So all the inside, so that has all turned into green now. And we've got some leaves going on the top. And so as I mentioned with regards to the fertilizer, it won't grow that big just being in the water without some fertilizer. So I might actually transplant this into some soil and just see how it goes from there. But some definite noticeable growth there, and I'm pretty happy with how this one's progressing. And so you might remember in the last video as well, I said that you could never have to buy green onion again. And I'm glad that I'm able to back that up with these green onions that I have so far. So basically, I'll just take one out here. So I did the cutting. You can see where I did the cutting here. So I cut it right there and just back out here. So all of this here is new growth within a week. Like, that's amazing to me. And so I've got 3 bits here, and they've got shoots as well. So this one here, it actually has 2 shoots now, and so they've just went crazy, and the roots are much longer too. So definitely, at the very least, get some green onions in a jar, because you're never going to have to buy them again, because I can't believe how quickly that these shot up, and so it's definitely something worthwhile. Just a quick mention for lettuce too. I didn't have any romaine still, but I did put some Boston lettuce into a jar, and it's got some big roots here in the bottom. This is all perked up. It's definitely much greener than it was when I first put it in. As I said, without the fertilizer, it's not going to grow overly large, but it's nice to see that it's perked up, and it can also be transplanted into some soil and see how it goes. So that's how the food scraps have progressed. Again, I'm pretty happy with how they went. As I said, the fennel does kind of smell, and that's probably a lost cause. And the carrots, it's probably not really going to work out. But the celery and green onion definitely, and the Boston lettuce, I'm interested to see how that goes, because I've never tried planting Boston lettuce before. So I do hope you found this information to be informative, and it's been a fun experience for me. You have any questions, or you want to learn something related, by all means leave a comment. Just a reminder that the Growing an Edible Food Garden class via Yale courses, the next session I believe starts on April 18th, so you can sign up for that through our website, brantlibrary.ca. Also check out our social media for more videos like this, as well as a whole bunch of other content. So until next time everyone, stay healthy and stay happy.